Referendum 90 was this, hey, we're parents, and ain't no way we want you to shove this sex ed law down our
Yeah,
throats, right?
jeez.
And even in the middle of the pandemic, they set a record in the number of petitions signed. 266,000 petitions. I think they needed half that, right?
Right.
So that shows me that when the issues finally hit home, that people of another stripe will rise up and do what needs to be done. So we're going to talk with Josh Freed. Clay, come back anytime, buddy. You know you're always welcome here. We appreciate it. Love his kind of gravelly, authoritative voice. You know, Clay's got a good set of pipes. Joshua Freed, running for governor, is on line two, and so we say good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Good morning. I hope we're both doing well. It's a great day yesterday. The record-setting number, as you said,
Well,
pretty extraordinary.
tell us a little bit more about it. This is to repeal what the legislature did, despite thousands and thousands of complaints and people urging the state not to do this. It was pretty. I don't know what kind of metrics they used to determine public opinion, but it seemed to me, outside of the Seattle bubble, that this thing was not at all popular. But they proceeded to pass it anyway. So now where do we sit?
Well, it just shows how clearly out of touch the legislators are and the governor in Olympia as he sits behind a high wall in the mansion that we pay for. Listen, there was an opportunity for the public to share their opinions at 8 in the morning during the legislative session. 800 people showed up. 750 of them spoke against comprehensive sex education. And of course, I'm sure your listeners know at 2:08 in the morning, the House passed comprehensive sex education with the disclaimer at the bottom of the TVW screen said content warning of explicit material. And yet they continued to move forward. They passed it. And of course, during the COVID crisis, Jay Inslee signed it into law. And really, it's the compromising of these young, innocent minds, 5, 6, 7-year-old kids, teaching them explicit material all the way through 12th grade. And I'm a father of 5. I'm sure you guys are parents and you have loved ones that you appreciate. And so we saw a great movement across the state. I'm a co-sponsor on Referendum 90, and we filed it, I think it was about 8 weeks ago. We only had 7 weeks to actually get signatures. And due to a large rise of people's interest across the state, we got 266,000 we brought to the curb to submit yesterday, and around 3,000 more were brought as we were submitting them to the Secretary of State. It is a record-setting number.
Yay.
We only needed 129,811, and we well over doubled that. It just shows quite clearly that there is a turning of Washington happening today, that collectively the state is coming to turn against the socialism and the overreach from government in Olympia.
There would appear to be some thresholds that you can't cross without waking up the silent majority and the masses. I think we're going to see that in other ways. But to remind folks, it was a Senate Bill 5395, and that's what we want to see go away. Now, it's interesting, as a referendum, can the legislature just say, okay, we hear you, Washington, loud and clear, and we'll do it on our own?
Yes, but they're not going to. We've been asking for a special session for a long period of time in response to this COVID crisis. I've been asking for the special session to give tax relief to citizens today, to put a full stay on the new expenditures, the $2.7 billion of new taxes last year. But the legislature refuses to meet. The governor refuses for fiscal responsibility and accountability. As we all recognized yesterday, he's very detached from the reality, even cities being taken over by Antifa today, and he says, I'm unaware. And I think he's been unaware for 7 years. I mean, I've traveled around all 39 counties in the state just over the last 2 to 3 weeks, and I'm telling you, the evidence of his failures all around us. He's unaware, as I've been downtown Seattle cooking meals for folks just a couple of Tuesdays ago, looking in the whites of people's eyes who are in first-time homelessness over the last couple of weeks due to his unconstitutional directives against businesses, that has driven the unemployment rate above 30%, the highest in America. So, yeah, he's very unaware. And thankfully, he's finally admitting what we've all been seeing for a very long time, the emperor with no clothes.
Oh, that's right.
No clothes? That's news to me, as he would say. That's what we would get. All right, so the bottom line is this cursory check of signatures tells us that Washington State voters will have a chance to vote for this.
What do you? Are you confident that this is gonna that you're gonna get the West, because it's that West Side vote that we got to convince, right?
It is, but those West Side voters, we have a lot of conservatives in Washington State as a whole, and I continue to tell my good friends in Central and Eastern Washington, we want to stay together, we want to be one state because we need you, but there are a significant amount of conservatives in many of the West Side counties. And so what needs to happen now, we move from setting a Washington State record for signatures on a referendum to now saying we want to reject referendum 90. And by rejecting referendum 90, we are rejecting comprehensive sex education. And I believe this is going to be something that brings out our base in great numbers. The Democrats clearly have overstepped. They thought that the citizens weren't watching. They have taken advantage of the citizens for an extremely long period of time, just like Jay Inslee. Wow. The Washington State is turning today. We're watching it before our very eyes. I'm excited. As you guys recognize and know, politics is cyclical. And after 35 years of one-party control in Olympia, the pendulum has swung way too far. The socialists in Seattle literally are taking over Seattle City Hall, but we're going to reject it as the rest of the state. We see what's happening. Our eyes are open. We are aware, where the Democrat majority is completely unaware of their overstep of their power. I feel good about what's happening.
Top two go, right? So you've got to get past the other Republicans that are out there. How does the race feel to you at this point?
It feels great. We're actually raising significantly more than all of our opponents in the Republican side of things. What is odd is the governor made it free to file for governor. So you have some people that are running for office just to make some advertisements for their own companies. So people really need to study that voter's guide and move all the way down to line 31 so they can take a vote for Joshua Freed. Actually, it's interesting. Jay Inslee's line 30. They just did a random draw, and we're next to each other. So in some sense, proximity is positive. People will be looking for both of our names. And if you want to vote for freedom, you're going to vote for Freed. But we're having a couple of events across the state. I don't know if I can mention, but
sure,
we're going to be in Tri-Cities. We're going to be in Tri-Cities this Friday with an opportunity for people to meet. They can go to freedforgovernor.com/events. And it's going to be a fun event in Tri-Cities on Friday at 4. And then on the 20th at 1 o'clock, we're going to be at Downriver Golf Course in Spokane for people to come join us there. And a few other fundraisers along the way. But we feel very good about where things are going. We have the Army and the team, but we're looking for more people, obviously, to jump on board so we can have victory against Jay Inslee in November. And I'm the best candidate with the most experience that can get through the primary, obviously. And then ultimately we need to look at winning in the general in November, and I'm ready to do it.
Tell you what, Joshua, with a lot of concern about the fumbling of our handling of COVID in our state, with the clear picture of a breakdown in Seattle of law and order and abdication, with actions by the legislature for this particular bit of sex ed law that, despite in-your-face action, if ever there was a chance for that pendulum to start the other way, this would be an election to do it. So we wish you success, and we'll be tracking this thing as it goes forward. We appreciate your time and your thoughts on Referendum 90 this morning, and stay healthy and well out on the campaign trail, sir.
All right. Bless you both.